Hello, welcome back to the channel. This video is a review of the PNPT exam by TCM Security and how I went from this to this. So before taking the PNPT exam, there's 5 training modules to complete from the TCM Academy. First one is the PEH, the Practical Ethical Hacking, then the Linux and Windows PrivES courses, the OSINT Fundamentals, and the External Pentest Playbook. The content is all provided by TCM Security and predominantly mainly done by Heath Adams. The training content is fantastic. There's nothing really else that comes close. So I took the training, the PEH training back in 2020 before I took the OSCP, and I kind of saw it as my kind of precursor training to the OSCP training. I still use it now. I still refer back to it, and it's continuously been updated ever since as well. So even as time of this recording, a week or two ago, they'd done a complete overhaul on the AD content and actually released the AD content for free on YouTube. And they've re-recorded every single video that they've done and added some new ones as well. So, you know, even 3 years later, 3.5 years later, they're still updating and bringing out new content. And it's really, really good. Like I said, I still refer back to it a lot. The Linux and Windows courses, again, for the PrivES, really, really good. Although I don't think they are needed as such for the exam, however, they are useful to know and to go through. The OSINT though and the External Pentest Playbook, 100% recommend before taking the exam. Really go over some key fundamentals, and will understanding the concepts taught in the exam will really set you up in a good position to take the exam. But even if you're not looking to take the PNPT, highly recommend completing the 5 courses. Like I say, they're really, really good, really high standard, very well explained, and yeah, highly recommend to anyone looking to either get into the field of ethical hacking or just as a bit of a refresher on any of the training subjects. So the exam itself is made up of 3 parts. The first part is a practical 5-day assessment, where you must conduct a penetration test against a fictional company that TCM Security provide you the details for. It was part of a rules of engagement document. The document is very well written, it clearly defines what is and isn't in scope and what their expectations are at the end of those 5 days. You then have a further 2 days to complete a report for the assessment. That report needs to be very thorough and provide the step-by-step details on what was done to fully compromise the network and any other vulnerabilities that were found. You then have a 15-minute debrief with a member of the TCM Security team, where you walk through your report, or you can create a PowerPoint presentation if you prefer, just to detail and explain what you did, how you did it, and what remediation advice you would give for that company. So my experience of the exam was a bit up and down, if I'm honest. So it took me 3 attempts to pass the exam. The first attempt was in January 2023. As I said, you have 5 days to conduct the assessment. Although I knew I wouldn't be able to on my first attempt. I had things going on, so I only really had about 4 days at a push to try the exam. So I kind of thought that'd be enough. Like I said, I'd done things like OSCP before, done other certifications, CRTP and those kind of things. And I kind of thought this was going to be easier, so I don't think I gave it the respect it deserved. So I thought, you know, 4 days would be plenty. I'll be able to do it, do the report, and everything would be fine. So very quickly realized I wouldn't be able to. I was struggling. For whatever reason, I could not step away from thinking this was an exam. You know, from what I was reading online and things, other people's reviews and what other people had said, they said treat this like a penetration test. Do not treat this like an exam. And for whatever reason, I could not get it out of my head that this was an exam, and I treated it as it was an exam. And fundamentally, I failed. I ran out of time, and I actually took to Twitter. I said I've given up. And it just, yeah, these things happen. You learn from your failures, and it's not ever really a failure. I don't think, you learn from it, and you move on, and you try again. So I never see as a failure as a bad thing. Everyone fails from time to time. It's just part and parcel of the journey and learning and certifications, really. So it took a few months off, and I was kind of busy with work and those kind of things. So I then took my second attempt on the 10th of July. So it was a good kind of 6, 7 months in between. I didn't really do much studying in between, but I was just kind of, still learning and doing bits and those kind of things. But I took it again for the 10th of July. Got past the bit I was struggling with on the first attempt quite quickly. So I was kicking myself that I hadn't done that the first time. But, again, as I say, it's part and parcel of learning. But again, I was unsuccessful. I got quite far in the exam, but I hit a roadblock, and I could not for the life of me figure out where I was going wrong. I thought I'd covered everything. The problem was, looking back on it now, I was overthinking it. The everything that you need to pass the exam is in the training material, and I was going over and beyond and trying to get more technical and trying to do things that are more advanced, and just basically unnecessary. Keep it simple and treat it like a normal penetration test. And again, even on the second attempt, I still wasn't doing that. There was things that I overlooked just because in my mind, in my mentality, I was thinking, well, you wouldn't put that in an exam, or it wouldn't be that because that doesn't make sense because of what I've seen. And it just, in a real engagement, you wouldn't think like that. And for some reason, I could not get out of my head that this was an exam. So obviously I got further, and I thought I was really close, but I just again ran out of time. Decided to end the exam. I think it was like 12 hours earlier, so it was a good 4.5 days I was on the exam. But just really struggled. So the nice thing about the PNPT, I didn't get this for the first time, for my first attempt, because I stopped doing it at that point. But on the second attempt, I'd got given a hint on where I should kind of focus, or where I may have gone wrong, or things like that. The hint was really useful. So although I'd kind of, also without giving anything away, although I thought I'd reviewed everything, I clearly hadn't, and I'd overlooked something. So the fact that I took the exam twice and failed twice, it was bugging me. So I decided to take the exam again, and this time it was on the 21st of July. So it was like the week after I'd failed the second time. I think it was a Friday. So I thought, I'd be able to do. I had the Friday to do the exam. I didn't have much on at work, so I was able to use the Friday. And I thought, well, I've got the weekend as well. And obviously, I'd done a big part of the exam the week before, so I'm hoping, with those few days, I'll be able to complete it. And I've obviously got that hint. So I used the hint. I used the information I was given, and I refocused my attempt on the exam. Within an hour and a half, so less than 90 minutes after starting my third attempt, I'd compromised the main admin and complete the exam, which I was really happy about, but also so frustrated that I'd also had to pay for another exam attempt, and I was able to do it within an hour and a half. The reason being is I stopped looking at it like exam. I treated it like a penetration test. I found things which if I'd found on a penetration test, I would have tried, which I found on the second attempt, but I didn't try because in my mind as an exam it didn't make sense, but that was the wrong mentality. So obviously I was thrilled. I started getting all my notes together and started writing a report, and created the report, submitted that a couple of days later. I took my time. I didn't need to rush. Obviously, I had 5 days of assessment time. Created the report, sent it to them, and had the debrief on the following Monday, and was told during the call that I'd successfully passed the PNPT. So really happy. It was a bit of a journey, but we're finally there. So although it took 3 attempts, it's going to seem really weird to say. The exam isn't hard. It's not technically different. It's not the most technical exam I've had before, even in the penetration test world. but it does make you think about a real world assessment. It's very realistic, it's very real world, and anyone looking to get into penetration testing, highly recommend this exam. A lot of my colleagues that I'm working with as well, I'm recommending this exam as a before anything else, before things like OSCP or any other kind of industry certification. This, I think, gives a good overall for everything to get it into penetration testing. It's covering Active Directory, which is critical if you want to be a penetration tester. It touches on web application again, which is also critical, but also the mentality and how to approach things, and also covers a few things like scripting and report writing and that kind of stuff as well. So it kind of gives you a good all-round knowledge to conduct penetration tests, and I think it's a good first step for anyone looking to get into that field to achieve. The exam itself was fantastic. I was in the lab time as such for obviously 3 exam attempts, so quite a long time really, and I never had a problem with the lab once. It was very stable. I never had any issues with connectivity or anything like that. And it's your own independent, your own solo independent lab as well, so you're not using it with other people. And it was fantastic. I had no problems with that at all. Anytime I had to reach out to TCM support, got a response really quickly, very friendly, very knowledgeable, and had no problems at all whatsoever. So highly recommend the TCM team. A big kudos and shout out to their team for everything as well. So fantastic team there. So overall, highly recommend. And if you are looking to do it, my advice would be, everything is covered in the training material. So review that material more than once, go over it, understand it. And like I say, everything is covered within the exam is in the training. Don't treat it like an exam. Treat it like you would a real penetration test. Like I say, I really struggled with this. I found that hard to do. But looking back, that is where I went wrong. If I'd done that the first time, perhaps I would have passed first time. I definitely would have passed second time if I'd done that. Don't treat it like an exam. Treat it like a real world penetration test. And don't overthink it. Keep it simple. There were a few times where I was going too far. At one point I was messing around with DLL, trying to bypass things, and it's just, don't overthink it. Keep it simple. Don't try and overcomplicate what you need to do. Just focus on like you would on a normal penetration test. Start with the easy things first and work your way up to maybe things a little bit harder. But like I say, everything's covered within that exam training. And the report, detail everything in that report. Don't just put kind of, here's my screenshot, couple of words. It has to be detailed, it has to be descriptive. You need to explain what you did, what remediation advice you would give, and as much information as you can as possible. You've got plenty of lab time. Take notes as you go. Don't just wait to the end to get all your notes. Do it as you go. You've got plenty of time, and the report will be fine. The debrief, again, I was a bit nervous about the debrief, but to be honest, getting on the call, you show your ID, and then you, like I say, you either go through your report, or if you create some slides, you can go through those. But you're just explaining what it is you did, how you did it, and what advice you'd give to remediate those findings. So it's very, you stick to your 15 minutes. You don't go over your 15 minutes. And the team were really friendly and welcoming on the call. Don't worry about the debrief. As long as you've got all your notes, you will be absolutely fine. So really, just do it. Just take the exam, have fun with it, enjoy it, treat it as a learning experience as well, not just as a test. Treat it as a learning experience. I learned a lot during the exam, the assessment, and I really enjoyed it. Although looking back, there was some frustrations, obviously, but actually highly recommend it to anyone. And looking back, I really did enjoy it, and I'm very proud of getting that PNPT certification. Look forward to more certifications that the TCM Security team bring out. So thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe. If you complete the exam, or if you've got any questions, please drop a comment underneath, and I'll come back to you if I can. But thank you very much. Take care. See you on the next one.